Let's dive into the coaster features. The coaster builder of Park Studio is fairly complex, but comes with many helpful features to guide you and help you build better coasters faster. Let's begin by selecting any of the few coaster models currently available and place the first section. The first section is always automatically a station and spawns at ground level, so you need to raise it before or after placing it. After placing the coaster, you will be met with the selection menu for the entire coaster, allowing you to edit things such as the hardline, trains, support, or toggling various visualizers. The settings are pretty easy to understand, so experiment with them and you should be just fine. Before we build a coaster by hand, I would like to show you the CSV importer feature, as it is what I personally use when I play the game. If you have used software such as No Limits 2 or AlphaVD in the past, you can export your coasters from those software in the CSV format, and Park Studio supports importing this format directly. Once you've selected your file, you can adjust the settings as explained to import your coaster the right way. In my case, I always export my rides with 50 cm spacing, and I want my initial sections to be 10 meters. Press import and voila! A smooth coaster almost ready to go. After import, if you see any weird wobbles in your track, press the Fix Disjoints button to clear those. If issues persist, your CSV file may not be properly formatted for Park Studio. Editing CSV coasters is very easy, but do note that you cannot add or remove track from a CSV import, though that may change in the future. When editing a CSV coaster, you can change the section types and edit nodes by sliding, adding, or removing them, making it very easy to quickly remake the coaster you had in the initial software. And there we go. After a few minutes of adjusting and customizing, we have a full, super smooth coaster ready to run. We can use the camera buttons to visualize the train and see how it rides. As with everything else in the game, you can press middle mouse click or the close menu button to hide the menu. And if you want to change the cameras, you can click back on the track while riding and press escape to exit the camera. With this CSV importer explained, let's get into the default coaster builder. We'll place a new coaster to begin with. Let's now dive a little deeper into the structure of coasters. Coasters are separated in sections and nodes. A section can be switched for another type, and the section type's values can be edited. Sections can also be blocks, and they will update their further neighbors automatically. Let me show you what I mean. If we place a new section, replace its type twin LSM type, and then place other sections, the type of the new section will match the one that it follows. But more importantly, if we select a section further behind and edit the values, it will update the values of all the following LSM sections until it meets a section of another type, which can be useful if you have LSM launchers that go along a hill made of multiple pieces, so you don't have to edit the values manually. This can also be used to easily split a launch in two parts. Let's say the first two sections here are 50 km per hour and the last two sections are 100. Then we can edit the very first section to be 50 km per hour, which will make everything 50 km per hour. But then if we select the section in the middle, then only the following sections will be updated. This update behavior works with every section, but is disabled for stations and powered coaster tracks, as it wouldn't make much sense in those specific scenarios. Then there are nodes. Nodes are your control points. They drive the curve of each section. When you're editing one of the tail nodes, you will get a custom gizmo that features all of the axes you need to build a coaster. Then you can use the gizmo to move, extend, or rotate the node, just like many games of the genre. Once you are satisfied with your section edits, you can add a new section with the button at the top of the bar, delete it, or select neighbor nodes as you desire. Now let's talk about node options. On the left are the node controls. From there, you can reset an entire section to be straight as if you had just placed it, or you can revert changes on individual axes. And if you select multiple nodes at once, you can smooth them by math or smooth them by force. Both should be used in combination, depending on what you're trying to achieve. As a reference, smooth nodes will smooth more aggressively regardless of realism, similar to what Planet Coaster does, whereas smooth forces will attempt to arrange and edit the nodes in a way that makes the forces smoother, which is more similar to what No Limits 2 does with their depump nodes feature. It is not a recreation of those features, but more a comparison for you to understand what each smoothing method does. The Make Strict toggle allows you to make a roll strict at specific nodes, because by default, the game uses a continuous roll system, which means roll is represented as an acceleration rate and may not pass exactly at the value you want. In case that behavior is not wanted, such as to make brake runs or flat sections of track, you can toggle the strict checkbox to enforce roll to pass through the desired value. On the right panel, you can control the size of the grid. The angle grid is represented in degrees, and control the arc that the arrows produce. The location grid is used for another gizmo I'll talk about in just a moment, and the rotation grid controls the roll and the other gizmo too. And if you scroll just a little bit, you can access a quick way to visualize track forces and speed as you build. Let's now talk about editing middle nodes. Middle nodes work like editing objects. If you've played Park Studio in alpha, this system should be familiar. It's very easy. You can use the move gizmo and rotation gizmo to move a node, which will automatically update the neighbors to ensure continuous roll, and what used to be called tangent scale is now called influence and controls how tight or how large the influence of a node is. By default, the influence of a node is approximately half of its two neighbors, so you can multiply or divide that influence with the slider. Generally speaking, you don't need to change the influence of nodes, but the smoothing features will make changes to them to ensure smoothness. So try it out for yourself and see what works for you. Once you are finished with your layout and want to close the loop, you can connect the tail nodes together. Connecting can occur in two ways. If you are connecting two sections that are relatively far away, the system will create a new section for you, whereas if you connect nodes that are already close together, it will simply make them match so that it closes the loop. And that's it for the default coaster builder. I will not go over special tracks in this series because they have been retrograded to experimental and need a full rework that will come in future updates. You can stay updated on the latest about Park Audio by joining the Discord. Let's now talk about the last coaster building mode, the Force Editor. The Force Editor works similarly to FVD and makes use of different types of controls to build realistic coasters. The Force Editor can be enabled and disabled at any point, as it is automatically reading the pre-calculated force values that you can visualize using the toggle. Do note that you need at least one neighbor section to enable the Force Editor, and the Force Editor does not work backwards. Also note that force nodes cannot be reverted to default nodes after the fact, so middle nodes will perpetually be force nodes, but you can still have their values updated and it will update the entire following track. Let's build a small launch and visualize the speed so we're sure we're hitting the target speed. Now, I will warn you that I am no expert with force vector design. I personally use No Limits 2 to make my coasters, so I may get things wrong when talking about this mode. Let's get over the basics. In the middle, you have your controls. The Force Editor does not have gizmos and instead uses input values directly, which are expressed in forces. The force ranges are adjusted to real-life G-force recommendations, so that you don't build coasters that will kill your poor visitors. On the left is where FVD players might be more knowledgeable than I am. You get a few options to further customize your track, namely the interpolation type, which changes the way the values go from point A to point B. You can also control the ease of the interpolation, as well as the center and tension. All those values tweak the way the track ends up shaping. I won't go into much depth with this, as I am again not a force vector design user myself. But I'm sure if you're familiar with FVD, you'll have a lot of fun with this system.